Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how personal injury lawyers earn their fees, how they get paid here in Arizona. If you're new here, my name is Darren Woodfork and I'm an attorney here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I specialize in car accident cases, sealing old criminal cases, and restoring gun rights here for the most part. Anyways, today I'm talking about how lawyers get paid here. And if you might already know this, but lawyers get paid on what's called contingency fee. And what a contingency fee is essentially that the lawyer is doing the case for free all the way up until the case settles and you make money on the case, and you recover money on the case. And then after that, then the lawyer's fee is a percentage of that settlement. And the reason why I bring this up and I'm making this video today is just because often I'll get a call. I mean, probably 30% of the time, I'll get a call from somebody who says they've been in a car accident and they're thinking about hiring a lawyer, but they don't have the money to afford one. They don't know how, they can't pay one, and the impression is that they think that they have to pay for a lawyer, like on an hourly basis. When they don't. You don't have to pay for a lawyer on an hourly basis when you're in a car accident case. Essentially, the lawyer is going to do that case all the time for free, and then at the end, the lawyer is going to recover a percentage of the recovery. And with that said, and you can see kind of the implication in here also, is that the lawyer has a incentive to pick good cases. So when somebody calls, the lawyer has to know that's a good case, because the lawyer is going to spend all that time, all that money, and put it into the case. And if there's no settlement at the end, then there's no fee. So what we do when we answer the first call and we do the initial consultation, we're evaluating the case just to make sure that it is a good case to take. So that's kind of what the lawyer does when they're evaluating the case, because again, the lawyer represents you for free, and then at the end they recover the percentage. With that said, the second thing is that you probably want to know how much the percentage is and how much the lawyer earns in the case. And so basically what happens is there's about 4 different structures in the settlement. From the highest structure, the lawyer is going to be receiving 40% of the settlement. That's if the case starts from the beginning, goes all the way to a jury trial, the jury comes back with a verdict, and you recover. Then after all that time, the lawyer's fee is going to be usually about 40% when it's all said and done. Under that is probably what you've heard of before, when you've maybe heard of that the lawyer's fee is 33 1/3%. Usually nowadays, that's when we have to file a lawsuit in court. So basically, we do the whole case, we negotiate with the insurance company, but the insurance company is not treating you fairly, so we have to file a lawsuit, we have to do discovery, we have to do depositions, and oftentimes these cases will settle after the deposition or after a successful summary judgment, which is basically the insurance companies asking the judge to dismiss the case. And then if the judge says, no, I'm not going to dismiss the case, then the insurance company might settle. But after all that litigation, usually the lawyer receives 33% of the final settlement. And that if there's none of that court stuff that I just talked about, and you just, you hire a lawyer to gather up all your medical bills and send over the demand letter for pain and suffering and lost wages and all that, and the case settles before going into the court process, which most cases do, maybe 70% of the cases, 80% of the cases do settle before the court process. In that scenario, nowadays lawyers are usually earning between about 28 and 25% on those settlements before going to court. So that's kind of the contingency fee on that. That's how much it is. And then finally, there's some cases, and again, it kind of goes back to the cases that lawyers will accept. If they're small cases, or if they're dealing with cases with, some of the bad insurance companies here in town, and the settlement is small relative to the injuries, relative to the medical bills, Then if there's not a whole lot of settlement in it basically to go around, then the lawyers usually drop their fees down to, like I said, 25%, 23%, just to make sure that everybody gets split up and everybody gets paid from the settlement. And that's usually in small cases that there's not a big settlement, and that's the reason. That doesn't happen a lot because, like I said, if the insurance company is not treating you fairly, not giving you enough money to go around, usually you just sue and you go to court and you take your chances in court. That's the remedy there. And so finally, or next I should say, is that when you're dealing in litigation specifically, and maybe some before you get into court, there will be some cost involved as how much, like just out-of-pocket cost as part of the claims process and part of the legal process. As far as just the claims process, usually we have costs of getting medical records, maybe sending out process servers, things like that. That's all the costs that go into the case. The lawyer normally will front all those costs for you. You do have to pay for those costs eventually, but in the beginning, the lawyer will advance those fees for you in that situation where we're getting, like I said, getting medical bills, paying for medical bills, and then getting all your other records, all that stuff. And so you don't have to worry about the cost usually for that part of it. Sometimes there's a cost involved when filing the lawsuit. There's a cost involved in subpoenaing the defendant. There's cost involved in some discovery, the deposition costs, the court reporter costs, all those costs. Most of the time, the lawyer will advance those costs also. Sometimes the client wants to pay for the filing of the complaint and the service, things like that. But oftentimes, the lawyer will front all those costs and then just recoup their costs on the back end after the case. That's part of the settlement. So then the lawyer receives that, that 33 and 3% settlement, and then all the incidental costs that we forwarded as part of the litigation. So that's how costs are dealt with. And then finally, and it doesn't happen a lot, but if the client deals with the lawyer for, a year and a half, and then at some point in time, the client wants to drop the lawyer and go to a different law firm or go somewhere else or do it on their own, something like that. In that scenario, then the lawyers always have in our fee agreements that we are going to get paid our hourly fee for all that time we spent before the client went somewhere else. And so that's basically a way for the lawyers kind of to protect themselves. That's in every fee agreement, any contingency fee agreement. Because like I said, you're doing the case for free. You're fronting costs. The lawyer's doing the case for free. The lawyer's fronting all the costs. Then you can imagine after that, if at the end the client decides to go somewhere else, the lawyer has a lien basically for all that earlier work, essentially. Again, it doesn't happen a lot. I would say maybe 3 times in 20 years where I've had somebody leave my firm and I had to implement that. And then at the end, when the case finally settles, then the new attorneys will pay back the first attorney their hourly fee. That also, by the way, that doesn't happen if the lawyer drops the client for whatever reason. Then you don't have to pay the hourly fee. That's only if the client goes somewhere else. So hopefully that clears up a little bit of the misinformation or confusion, I guess, when it comes to lawyers' fees in personal injury cases, that almost all the lawyers in town do personal injury cases on a contingency fee, which is basically we do the case for free. We don't recover anything until you recover, and then our fee is a percentage of that recovery. And so, anyways, hope that helps. If you would, please subscribe to this channel. I'll have more tips and advice on legal issues here in Arizona. And actually, any interesting legal issues, I should say. There'll be more forthcoming. And thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.